Today we'll revisit Cassiar again with a stroll down the asbestos mines memory lane. As you may recall, thousands of miners once called Cassiar home. But when asbestos prices took a hit, the company town shut down for good in 1992. And since then, many of Cassiar's local boys have made good, including a Prince George goldsmith who forged his art in the asbestos fields of Cassiar. Daybreak's Betsy Trumpener has his story.
Now, it's not really a goldsmith shop unless you hear this.
Darrell Hubbell's goldsmith shop is part junior high shop class,
A piece of melted gold and clean it up.
part high-end art gallery. Can we just look at a couple of things in the case?
Would you like to start with the expensive stuff or the cheap stuff? I mean, the inexpensive.
Well, if you're asking me, I'll go for the cheap.
This right here is a 2.11 carat Alexandrite ring.
Call him Northern BC's Lord of the Rings. In business for a quarter century, Darrell Hubbell has crafted more than 6,000 rings to launch weddings and anniversaries. Not bad for a fellow who grew up in the asbestos fields of Cassiar.
When I was 8, my family moved to Cassiar. It's an asbestos mine. In the asbestos mine was a seam of jade. They didn't know it was jade, they just blasted it over and pushed it over the edge.
His dad, Clancy, was a heavy-duty mechanic in the asbestos pit and an ardent rock hound. He was the first to discover precious jade amidst piles of mine waste.
When he was 12 years old, he read a story in school with the word jade in it. It was about jade, and he was fascinated by it. But he'd never seen jade until we moved to Cassiar. My dad sent out a sample and got it analyzed and found out it was jade. And so there was a big rock slide that came down from the mine in 1966, and he and my mother staked claims on it. So I spent my formative years sitting alone on a rock slide watching a saw cut rock.
But not just any rock.
No, jade, and very nice jade. The jade from Cassiar is wonderful.
Some kids have lemonade stands. Darrell Hubbell had a jewelry stand.
So I made a ring, and the band was in 2 pieces, and then there were shoulders, and I made a ring, and we had a little store in our backyard. And in Cassiar, if you have any kind of a store, you're in retail, because there wasn't much competition. I made this ring, put it in the store, and somebody stole it. It was the only thing that ever got stolen. So I was like, wow, that's, I guess, a compliment, eh?
Someone stole what I made.
Yeah, they must love it. So, very handy guy, my father is. When he found that there was jade there, he thought, whoa, this is the big times, right? He set out and got some equipment to cut stones, and pretty soon people were saying, well, that's a very nice stone, but it should be in something. And so he got a book, and he got some equipment, and said, I can do this. And I said, well, so can I. By this time, I'd started cutting stones, too. And
Your father is a heavy-duty mechanic in an asbestos mine. All of a sudden, he discovers jade, this precious stone he's been wondering about all his life. Mm-hmm. And presto.
Well, presto, if it was only that easy, right? We could always melt some gold.
Okay, now you're turning on the welding torch.
See if we can burn the mic. By the time I was 14, I told my dad, okay, when I grow up, I'm going to have a store where I make all the jewelry. And he went, oh, that's so nice. Isn't that? Hear what my son said? And so here I am, yeah.
How many wedding rings are you keeping account? You know, how many loving couples have you sent off to procreate?
In fact, they don't need rings for that, I found out. But anyway, 400 pieces a year, 500 pieces a year, somewhere on that is that. So, yeah, that's a lot.
Hubbell's rings are now part of thousands of people's daily lives, something that reminds them of their love.